A devoted single dad, Ethan, tries to rebuild his life after his wife's passing. He remarries, hoping to give his twin daughters stability, but the stepmother leaves them abruptly. Ethan feels broken, yet he stands firm for his 6-year-old girls. Ethan learns the struggles of single parenthood, of balancing work, bills, school lunches, bedtime stories, and emotional healing while masking his exhaustion with smiles. The twin girls surprise Ethan with their resilience, their innocent words and small acts of love, drawing pictures, leaving notes, holding his hand, remind him why he must keep going. The alarm buzzed, but Ethan didn't stir right away. He had fallen asleep on the couch again, the TV screen still glowing faintly with late-night news he didn't remember watching. His back ached, his head pounded, and he felt that deep exhaustion that went beyond just a lack of sleep. But then came the soft sound of feet padding across the old wooden floor. "Daddy?" It was Lily, her voice fragile in the dim morning light. Her twin sister, Grace, followed a step behind, clutching her stuffed rabbit to her chest. Their pajamas were mismatched, hair tousled, but their wide brown eyes were alert, watching him with a mix of hope and worry. Ethan rubbed his eyes, forcing himself up. He didn't want them to see his weakness, didn't want them to feel the storm that was tearing through his chest. He stretched a hand toward them and smiled, though it felt heavy on his face. "Good morning, my sunshine girls," he said softly. "Daddy's awake now." The girls didn't return his smile right away. Instead, Lily asked the question that hung in the air like smoke. "Is she coming back?" Ethan's heart twisted. Only last night, their stepmother had walked out. No explanations, no goodbyes, just slammed doors and silence. For weeks, Ethan had sensed the distance growing at the cold glances, the excuses, the way she avoided the girls' laughter. He had hoped, prayed, begged silently that it was just stress or a rough patch. But the truth had arrived with the echo of her footsteps leaving. Grace's lower lip trembled. "She didn't even kiss us goodnight." Ethan pulled them both into his arms, holding them tightly, their little bodies pressed against his chest, their hearts beating fast, searching for security. He wished he could promise them a fairy tale ending, wished he could tell them she'd come back, but he had sworn never to lie to them. "Not about important things. Sometimes, people make choices we don't understand," he said carefully, his voice thick. "But I promise you Daddy's not going anywhere, ever." The girls clung tighter, as if afraid he might vanish too. "So it's just us now," Lily whispered, her small voice carrying the weight of an adult's question. Ethan swallowed the lump in his throat. He kissed the tops of their heads, inhaling the scent of bubblegum, shampoo and sleep. "It's just us. And that's more than enough." The twins finally eased their grip, but they didn't stray far. Ethan guided them to the tiny kitchen, where sunlight filtered weakly through thin curtains. He fumbled with the toaster, burning the bread twice. Peanut butter sandwiches. It would be messy, uneven, but food nonetheless. The girls tried to help. Grace spread jelly with too much enthusiasm, smearing half on the counter. Lily giggled when it dripped onto her sleeve. Ethan laughed, too, a sound he hadn't expected to escape his chest so soon after the storm of last night. Even in brokenness, joy slipped through. "See?" Ethan said, placing the lopsided sandwiches into their lunchboxes. "Teamwork makes breakfast miracles." The girls smiled faintly, their first of the day. Walking them to school, Ethan noticed the stares from neighbors. He knew what they saw: a man who had remarried too soon, only to be left again. A man who had lost his wife to illness and now his second chance at stability. He kept his chin up anyway, because what mattered wasn't gossip. What mattered were the two little hands gripping his, trusting him completely as they crossed the street. At the school gate, Lily tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, a broken bar. Will you still come pick us up, even if you're busy?" Ethan crouched so his eyes were level with theirs. He brushed a strand of hair from Grace's forehead and said firmly, "I will always come back for you, no matter what. I'll be the first face you see." Grace's eyes softened with relief. Lily nodded, reassured. They hugged him quickly, then ran to join their classmates. Ethan stood there longer than necessary, watching their small backpacks bounce with each step. His chest ached with pride and fear all at once. On the way home, silence wrapped around him like a heavy coat. He replayed the last few years in his mind. His first wife, Anna, had been the love of his life. They had dreamed of raising a family together, growing old hand in hand. But fate had other plans. Cancer had stolen her away too soon, leaving Ethan with 2 infants and a hole in his soul. For years, he had poured every ounce of himself into being both mother and father. The sleepless nights, the endless diapers, the lullabies sung through tears. It had been the hardest, most beautiful fight of his life. Still, he had worried that the girls were missing something, that the absence of a mother's love would leave a scar. That fear had driven him to remarry. He thought he was giving them stability, giving them the piece of family they had lost. But instead, he had invited another wound. Now, sitting on the couch again in the empty apartment, Ethan realized he had to stop searching for someone to complete their family. They were already complete. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't traditional, but it was theirs. And maybe that was enough. The hours until pickup dragged. Ethan cleaned the kitchen, sorted laundry, checked work emails half-heartedly. He couldn't focus. His mind stayed with the twins. Were they scared? Embarrassed? Would they cry if a teacher mentioned Mommy and Daddy Day? The thought broke him. He wanted to protect them from every hurt, but he knew he couldn't shield them from life. All he could do was be steady, consistent, and present. When the school bell finally rang, Ethan was waiting right at the gate, just as he'd promised. The twins spotted him instantly, their faces lighting up in a way that eased something deep inside him. They ran to him, backpacks bouncing, arms outstretched. He scooped them both up at once, staggering under their combined weight but laughing anyway. "See?" he said between breaths. "First face you see." Their giggles filled the air, and in that moment, the heaviness lifted. That evening, homework sprawled across the coffee table. Grace sounded out words from a picture book while Lily scribbled numbers on a worksheet. Ethan hovered, offering help when asked, though half the time he had to Google the answers himself. He burned dinner again and they settled for scrambled eggs and toast. The girls didn't complain. After baths and bedtime stories, Lily asked him to sing the lullaby their mom used to sing. Ethan hesitated, his throat tightened. That song belonged to Anna, to a time when life had felt whole. But he saw the hope in Lily's eyes, the way Grace nestled closer, waiting. So he sang, voice cracking, every note a thread pulling him back to memories of hospital rooms and whispered prayers. By the time he finished, the twins were asleep, their faces relaxed, breath steady. Ethan sat there quietly, his hand resting on the blanket that covered them both. He whispered into the stillness, "You're my miracles. You don't even know it yet, but you've saved me." He stayed until the room was dark, then slipped out, closing the door softly behind him. In the quiet of the living room, he sank onto the couch and let the tears come, silent and unrelenting. Not tears of despair, but of release. The storm had passed. What remained was love, messy, exhausting, imperfect, but unshakable. As he wiped his face, Ethan realized something. The stepmother's leaving wasn't the end of their story. It was the beginning of a new one. One where he didn't need to chase after someone else to fill the gaps. One where the love of a father and the strength of 2 little girls was enough to carry them through. And as the night settled around him, Ethan finally believed it. They would be okay, maybe even more than okay, because together, they were a miracle unfolding, one day at a time.